Gentlemen, stop taking olive oil the wrong way. Stop swallowing it plain and expecting some kind of miracle. Because for many men over 50, olive oil by itself is not the full answer. The real shift begins when you pair it with one overlooked ingredient before bed. Comment "flow" below if you want the exact night protocol. I'm Dr. Clara Vance, and tonight I want to show you something simple, precise, and far more intelligent than the random fixes most men keep chasing. Not another stimulant, not another flashy booster, not another temporary jolt. A bedtime combination that works with vascular biology, not against it. Because what most men call aging is often something far more specific. Slower blood vessel signaling, lower nitric oxide protection, more oxidative stress, stiffer arteries, weaker endothelial function, less efficient oxygen delivery, a duller, smooth muscle response. And once that chain starts breaking down, you feel it everywhere. You feel it in the bedroom first, then in the gym, then in your energy, then in your recovery, then in your confidence. You do not feel as sharp. You do not respond as fast. You do not last as long. You do not recover the way you used to. And that wears on a man. Most men think the problem is testosterone alone. Not quite. Testosterone matters, yes, but hormones do not operate in a vacuum. They depend on blood flow, tissue oxygenation, metabolic stability, sleep quality, and the health of the endothelial lining that controls circulation moment by moment, second by second. That is why old solutions keep disappointing you. More coffee, more sugar, more pre-workout, more male vitality capsules with giant promises and tiny results. They may create sensation. They may create heat. They may create expectation. But they do not always restore the actual mechanism that produces stronger, steadier blood flow. And if blood flow is inconsistent, everything becomes inconsistent. Energy, performance, endurance, stamina, fullness, recovery, confidence. Not because your body has given up, not because age automatically shuts the system down, but because the signaling pathway has become noisy, inflamed, tired, and less responsive than it should be. This is where olive oil becomes interesting. Not the cheap, refined stuff, not the flat, tired oil sitting on a discount shelf. I'm talking about high-quality, extra virgin olive oil. Rich in polyphenols, rich in monounsaturated fats, rich in compounds that help support vascular health, cell membranes, and inflammatory balance. That matters more than people realize. Because when the endothelium is irritated, nitric oxide gets burned through too quickly. Blood vessels lose flexibility. Smooth muscle relaxation becomes weaker. Circulation becomes less efficient. Oxygen delivery drops. Then tissues begin to act older than they really are. That is when cellular fatigue starts showing up in real life. But here is the contrarian part. Olive oil alone is still incomplete. Useful, yes. Smart, yes. Protective, yes. But incomplete. Because supporting the vessel wall is one thing. Triggering a more active vascular response is another. That is why many men try olive oil for weeks and say, "It's healthy, but I don't feel much." That is because they missed the second half of the equation. The ingredient that changes the signal. The ingredient that shifts olive oil from passive support to active circulation strategy. The ingredient sitting in your kitchen right now. Crushed garlic. Comment "garlic" below if that already surprised you. Yes, garlic. Not because it is trendy, not because it is dramatic, but because when it is crushed properly and timed properly, It produces sulfur compounds that interact with vascular function in a way most men never hear about. That is where the real mechanism begins. When fresh garlic is crushed, it starts forming compounds linked to improved endothelial signaling and healthier vascular tone. At the same time, extra virgin olive oil supplies a protective polyphenol-rich fat matrix. One helps the signal, the other helps the environment. One nudges the response, the other protects the pathway. That combination creates what I call a dual-phase vascular activation effect. First phase, the vessel wall is buffered against oxidative stress and inflammatory friction. Second phase, circulation signaling becomes cleaner and more responsive, especially during the overnight recovery window when the body is supposed to restore, repair, and recalibrate. This is why bedtime matters. During sleep, your body does not just rest, it resets. Hormone rhythms shift, tissue repair increases, nervous system load changes, vascular tension patterns soften, recovery chemistry turns on. If you give your body the right signal before bed, the overnight window can become far more productive. Not because of magic, because of timing, because physiology has rhythms, because the body handles inputs differently at night than it does at noon, because stable evening nutrition, calmer blood sugar, improved endothelial support, and reduced oxidative stress can set the stage for better overnight perfusion and a stronger next-day response. And this is the hidden mistake men keep making. They chase excitement instead of restoration. They chase stimulation instead of blood vessel function. They chase instant sensation instead of tissue-level recovery. Then they wonder why results feel inconsistent. You do not need more chaos, you need cleaner signaling. The science around this direction is stronger than many people realize. Research on extra virgin olive oil consistently connects it with healthier vascular function, better inflammatory control, and improved cardiometabolic markers. Research on garlic has linked it to healthier blood pressure patterns, improved arterial flexibility, and support for nitric oxide-related vascular pathways. Put more simply, this is not about a folk remedy. It is about helping the endothelium behave more like it used to, helping oxygen get where it needs to go, helping blood vessels open more smoothly, helping tissues receive a steadier supply, helping the whole system perform with less internal resistance. And once that internal resistance drops, men notice very practical things. Better warmth in the hands and feet, less heavy, sluggish feeling after meals, more stable morning energy, better exercise tolerance, stronger response when intimacy appears, less of that, come on body, wake up frustration that chips away at confidence. That is the real promise here, not a fake overnight transformation, not some cartoon version of male performance, but a measurable shift in how your body behaves when the vascular system is less inflamed, less stiff, and less exhausted. Comment night below if you want the exact bedtime formula. Now let's talk about why garlic works so differently when it is fresh and crushed. Because this part matters. If you throw whole garlic into oil and swallow it fast, you miss much of the point. The action begins when the clove is crushed, chopped, or finely minced, then allowed to sit briefly. That short rest matters because it allows the active sulfur chemistry to develop. In plain English, you are not just eating garlic, you are activating it. That is why sloppy preparation leads to sloppy results. Precision matters. Timing matters. Tiny details matter when you are trying to support a real biological mechanism. And notice the pattern here. This is not more is better. It is not take a giant amount and hope for the best. It is not brute force. It is intelligent force. You are not trying to overwhelm the body. You are trying to create a cleaner vascular environment, a smoother endothelial response, and less cellular friction. That distinction is everything. Old school thinking says, stimulate harder. New school thinking says, remove resistance. Reduce oxidative stress. Support endothelial function. Improve nitric oxide availability. Ease vascular stiffness. Enhance oxygen delivery. Protect mitochondrial energy production. That is how you get better output without acting like you need an emergency solution every night. Because mitochondrial energy matters too. Blood flow is not just about movement, it is about delivery. Oxygen has to reach the cells. Nutrients have to reach the cells. Waste has to leave the cells. When delivery improves, cellular fatigue drops. When cellular fatigue drops, the body responds with more strength, more stamina, and more control. That is why some men say they feel older, even when their lab work looks decent. The issue is sometimes not one number. It is system efficiency, a tired vascular network, a stressed endothelial lining, inconsistent smooth muscle relaxation, sluggish perfusion, underpowered mitochondrial output. All of it adds up to weaker real-world performance. And that is exactly why random quick fixes disappoint. They may create pressure. They may create alertness. They may create a short-lived sense of something happening. But if oxidative stress is still high, if vessels are still rigid, if oxygen delivery is still poor, the foundation remains weak. So let's make this practical. The exact formula is simple. 1 tablespoon of high-quality extra virgin olive oil. 1 small fresh garlic clove. Crush the garlic. Let it sit for about 10 minutes. Then mix it thoroughly into the olive oil. That is your base. Clean, simple, specific. When do you take it? Best window. With dinner, or about 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Not on a completely empty stomach if you are sensitive. Not with a huge late-night junk meal. Not after heavy drinking. You want a calm digestive environment, stable blood sugar, and a body that is ready to recover. How often? Start with 4 nights per week for the first 10 to 14 days. Then move to 5 or 6 nights per week if your stomach handles it well. Consistency beats intensity. This is not a one-shot trick. It is a tissue support strategy. Repetition is what creates momentum. How much? Stay with 1 tablespoon of oil and 1 small clove. Bigger is not smarter here. Doubling the garlic does not double the benefit. It may only irritate your stomach, your breath, and your enthusiasm. Precision creates compliance. Compliance creates results. Results create belief. Now some men will ask, can I add lemon? You can, but you do not need it to make this work. The core mechanism is olive oil plus fresh crushed garlic. If you tolerate it, a few drops of lemon can brighten the taste. But do not complicate the formula so much that you stop using it. Some will ask, can I heat it? Lightly warming the oil in food is one thing. Aggressively frying the garlic is another. If the goal is preserving the fresh garlic activation and the integrity of the olive oil, keep it simple. Mix it raw. Drizzle it over warm vegetables or take it as a small spoonful. The first benefits are usually not dramatic fireworks. They are subtler. Better warmth, better ease, better morning readiness, better training energy, better recovery, less heaviness, less sluggishness. Then, for some men, intimacy starts feeling more reliable, more cooperative, more consistent. And that matters because confidence grows from consistency. This is where many men quit too early. They try it twice. They expect instant theatre, then they stop. Wrong mindset. This is not temporary stimulation. This is vascular housekeeping, endothelial support, inflammation control, better perfusion conditions, improved nightly recovery chemistry. The biggest changes often come from what looks boring at first. And let me say something important. If your sleep is terrible, your waistline is climbing, your stress is out of control, and you are dehydrated every day, no kitchen formula will fully rescue you. This works best when it is part of a bigger recovery picture. Sleep, walking, water, protein, fiber, less alcohol. Because alcohol especially can sabotage the exact system you are trying to improve. It worsens sleep quality, disrupts vascular tone, inflames tissues, dehydrates you, blunts hormone rhythm. Then men blame age, when the real problem is that the system is being hit from 5 directions at once. Comment reset below if that hits home. Now let's handle the objection every sensible man should ask. Is it safe for everyone? No. Garlic is food? Yes. Olive oil is food? Yes. But food can still matter medically. If you take blood thinners, have a bleeding disorder, severe reflux, stomach ulcers, or a procedure coming up, speak with your clinician first. That is not fear. That is intelligent use. The same goes if garlic aggravates your digestion. Start smaller. Half a clove instead of a full clove. Take it with food. Watch how your body responds. If it does not suit you, do not force it. Better to adapt the method than pretend discomfort is discipline. Another objection. What if I do not feel anything in the first week? Then do not panic. This is not caffeine. This is not sugar. This is not a stimulant surge. The process is slower because the target is deeper. You are trying to improve the environment in which circulation operates. That takes rhythm. Another concern. What about sodium? There is essentially no sodium issue in the base formula. That matters for men trying to support blood pressure and fluid balance. Another concern. What about digestion before bed? Then take it with dinner rather than right before lying down. Small adjustment, same strategy. Another question. Does this replace medication? Absolutely not. If you are on prescribed treatment for blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, or erectile dysfunction, this is not a replacement order. It is a supportive lifestyle idea. Medication decisions belong with your own clinician, especially if you have diagnosed cardiovascular or metabolic disease. But support matters, and that is the point. Men often think only in black and white. Either a prescription fixes everything or food does nothing. Real physiology is more nuanced than that. The body responds to patterns, to vascular load, to inflammation, to oxidative stress, to nightly recovery, to cumulative habits. That is why simple routines can become powerful. Not because they are glamorous, because they are repeatable. And repeatable is what the body listens to. One calm, precise signal, repeated again and again, can outperform a dozen random heroic efforts that never become a routine. Here is what I want you to notice after 2 to 3 weeks. Not fantasy, reality. Are your energy dips less severe? Do your legs feel less heavy when you move? Do you wake with more readiness? Do you feel more warmth, more responsiveness, more confidence? Are you less breathless, less flat, less dragged down? Because blood flow is not only about sex, it is about life. It is about how your brain feels by mid-afternoon, how your muscles recover after effort, how your body carries oxygen, how your tissues stay nourished, how your confidence holds up under pressure. Healthy circulation changes the way a man experiences his own body. And when that improves, your posture changes, your mood changes, your willingness changes. You feel less like you are negotiating with your own body. You stop fearing disappointing moments. You stop bracing for underperformance. You begin trusting your system again. That psychological shift is enormous, and it often starts with physical reliability. Let's go one level deeper. Why is the bedtime format so valuable? Because the night is when the body lowers external demand and turns inward. Repair, regulation, hormone rhythm, nervous system rebalancing. If you support circulation and reduce vascular irritation before that window, overnight biology has a better chance to do its work. That is why I do not want you taking this formula after a huge dessert, after several drinks, after doom scrolling until 1 in the morning, then expecting magic. Respect the mechanism, build the conditions, finish dinner, hydrate. Take your olive oil and crushed garlic, dim the stimulation, let recovery happen. One more point, quality matters. Do not use low-grade oil and expect premium results. Use real extra virgin olive oil. Peppery taste is often a good sign. Fresh smell matters. Dark bottle helps. As for garlic, fresh clove beats old dry dust. The whole method depends on actual living compounds, not dead leftovers. If you want to support the effect further, pair the routine with an evening walk after dinner. 10 to 15 minutes. Nothing heroic, just enough to improve glucose handling, reduce post-meal sluggishness, and help the vascular system do its job. Small walk. Better blood sugar. Better sleep. Better circulation conditions. This is how men rebuild performance intelligently. Not by chasing one miracle ingredient, but by stacking mechanisms that make sense. Lower internal resistance, better endothelial behavior, better overnight recovery, better oxygen delivery, better mitochondrial energy, better response when it counts. That is physiology, not hype. Comment bedtime below if you are following this. And let me be blunt. Men over 50 do not need more shame. You do not need someone telling you your best years are over. You do not need another fear-driven sales pitch. You need a smarter way to support the systems that actually govern vitality. Blood vessels, nerves, mitochondria, sleep, recovery. That is what this little formula represents. A shift away from panic, away from random fixes, away from superficial stimulation, toward vascular resilience, toward a calmer internal environment, toward performance that feels less forced and more natural. That is the real goal. Not a short burst, a stronger baseline. So here is the exact nightly protocol one more time. 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil, 1 small fresh garlic clove. Crush it, wait 10 minutes, mix it. Take it with dinner or 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Start 4 nights a week. Increase gradually if it suits you. Track what matters: morning energy, recovery, warmth, responsiveness, stamina, confidence. Not just one dramatic moment. Look at the pattern. Your body will tell you whether the system is becoming more cooperative. Listen to patterns, not panic. Progress often whispers before it speaks loudly. And give it a fair trial. 21 nights minimum, 30 nights is better. That is long enough to see whether your body responds to cleaner vascular support and better recovery timing. Not everyone will respond the same way. But many men are surprised by what happens when they stop chasing noise and start supporting biology. If you are the kind of man who has been feeling slower, softer, flatter, more hesitant, more drained, this is exactly the kind of reset worth testing. Affordable, simple, specific, grounded in mechanism, easy to repeat, easy to track, easy to respect. Harder to ignore once you feel the difference. Not because of age alone, but because of this hidden mechanism. Not temporary stimulation, but optimized physiology. Not desperation, but direction. Not force, but flow. That is the difference, and it can change much more than one part of your life. Over time, better circulation supports better training. Better training supports better body composition. Better body composition supports better insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity supports better vascular function. Better vascular function supports better confidence. This is how small nightly habits turn into bigger long-term transformation. So tonight, do not just pour olive oil and hope. Activate the formula, respect the timing, use the mechanism. Then let your body do what it has been trying to do all along. Recover, restore, respond. Comment 30 days below if you are willing to test it properly and pay attention. I'm Dr. Clara Vance. This is educational content, not personal medical care. If you use medication or have a medical condition, check with your clinician before changing your routine. But if your goal is steadier blood flow, stronger recovery, and more reliable performance, this is a smart place to begin.